Okay, so now we have the spaces in Revit, we have the analytical model with analytical spaces, we have the schedules. Where do we have the analytical space? If I go to user interface and I see the project browser, here we have the analytical spaces, that's the schedule, but in the 3D view, we have the analytical spaces. Okay, so we have this. We know that sometimes this, for example, this bedroom is broken down into two different analytical areas. Okay, so that's why in the analytical space schedule, we have bedroom 1 and bedroom 1. It's not a big deal, but we have to adapt the peak cooling and the peak heating load of the bedroom 1. And that's the explanation, because when the geometry is complicated, Revit breaks that space down into two different analytical spaces. Okay, so that happens especially when we have a tilted roof. I don't know if we have a space. Yeah, probably this is so small that Revit doesn't divide it. And this bedroom seems okay. The bathroom seems okay, but for example, this bedroom, it's divided into two. So there's nothing we can do about it. And okay, it doesn't matter. Now, there's something else we can do, but we have to work with analytical systems. So by default, we have this project browser. We can keep it, but I need more space, so I'm going to delete this project browser. So you have the project browser here. You better drag it in this place, because we're going to need we need to see this, and we need a lot of information. So we need a column, not half the column, but just the column here. I have to go to View, User Interface, and I have to activate System Browser. Okay, so when we have the System Browser, we are going to design the mechanical systems here, but it's not designing mechanical systems as we did in systems, that we insert the actual equipment, the air handling unit, the split, the heat pumps, whatever. This is analytical, okay? So it's abstract. Those are numbers. So it's not the actual element that we place there, no. So we have to work with some abstract elements here. Here we have the analytical spaces, okay? So we have all the spaces that we have created. So we without creating the spaces, we cannot do this. So that's why first we have to create the spaces, to create the energy model, the analytical space, and all that stuff. And now we have analytical systems, zones, okay. And we can design electrical. We are going to deal with systems, zones, and analytical systems. So in systems, you know that we have mechanical, piping, and electrical. We are going to design only mechanical, not piping, not electrical, okay? So only the mechanical ones. So in analytical systems, you see that we can hide or we can show all the spaces that we have created. First, we have to create zones. And okay, so if we go to Analyze, remember that here we change the location, and then we move to create the analytical, the energy model. And we didn't do this, okay? So this is, if we hover the mouse here, this is zones. So click here, and now we have system zones. What does it mean? What is a zone in terms of the energy system of the building? It can be just one space, or we can have a zone with different spaces, but all those spaces share the same system, the same energy system. Meaning, this room and the following room, we have the same air handling unit. Okay, so we have this air handling unit goes through the different rooms, and or those ducts go to different rooms, and at the end, all the ducts meet at the same air handling unit. So that would be a zone. All the spaces that belong to the same air handling unit belongs to the same zone. So it depends on the building. We can break down the building, the systems between the first floor and the second floor, between south orientation rooms and north orientation rooms. In a single family house, we can consider that everything belongs to the same zone. Because in single family houses, we don't have a system for the living room, a different system for bedroom 1, a different system for bedroom 2. So usually in a single family house, everything belongs to the same system. In an apartment building, one apartment will be one zone, another apartment will be another zone. Okay. So if we have a 2-bedroom apartment, so we would create a zone with the 2 bedrooms and the living room, and then another apartment would be a different zone. So if we're dealing with a single family house, we're going to create a zone. So how can we do that? We have to create a line, and now we have to go over all the spaces that we have here. Okay, so I'm creating a line that you see that we cover all the spaces like this. Okay, so I don't mind if the line is complicated, because I want to make sure that all the spaces that we have in the building are covered by this line. And at the end, I have to close the loop. If it's not a closed loop, it won't work. I'm not adding the garage, because in the garage, we don't have a heating system. Okay, so I'm adding only the spaces that belong to the envelope. Here we can see the envelope, the building envelope. It does include the garage. So that's why this wall is bigger than this wall. So let's click OK. And now we have a system zone. And the system zone includes all this. Okay. So now we have a zone here. And if we go to the analytical spaces, we don't see the zone in the analytical space. Okay, so we only see the zone in the level, but we have the spaces, and we see that the zone covers all the spaces. As long as the line goes to the space, it doesn't have to be, okay, so it doesn't have to go to the corner. We have to make sure that the line so that's why I have this line here doing this, because this is a bathroom, this is a closet, and I did this to make sure that the line is intersecting all the spaces. Okay. So we have a system zone. And now you see that here we have add zone equipment, here we have air system, and here we have water loops. So now we have to make a decision. Either we work with air handling units, or we work with hydronic systems. So we're going to keep it simple, and we're going to work with air to water heat pump. And we're going to use a hydronic system. A hydronic system can be radiators, it can be a radiant floor, or we can have fan coils. I will explain how to deal with this in a following class, but today I'm going to add zone equipment. Okay, so if we add zone equipment, so the name, let's name it ARCH360 equipment, something that we can remember. The equipment type is, we have a lot of things here. So we're going to work with a water source heat pump. So there are different options. So those are the all the systems that we can create, we're going to work with a water source heat pump. The behavior is group spaces. We're going to group space, and the condenser water is undefined. Okay, why is it undefined? Because we haven't defined it yet. So what have we done? We have defined the first zone equipment. So if we have different zones, we will have different zone equipments. Here, the most straightforward, we have only one zone that includes all the spaces. We ran out of time and you didn't tell me. So I'm going to